Let's chat now to our political editor Andrew Clennell, who joins me now from Canberra. Hi there, Andrew. The Treasurer was heavily spruiking the changes coming into effect this morning.
Yes, they have been the Treasurer, the Finance Minister, the Prime Minister. But Fatima Payman has ruined the party, hasn't she? As one a senior government figure said to me yesterday, she'd stuffed the July 1 launch. Actually, it was a stronger word than stuffed. But I'll get to Fatima Payman in a minute. The tax cuts $23 billion into the economy, but the Treasurer denies that they will cause inflation. But interestingly, on Sunday Agenda yesterday, when asked if the inflation forecast of Treasury, 2.75% by the end of the year, would occur, he said it remains to be seen. So perhaps even some doubt in the Treasurer's mind. He later on said he's confident but not complacent about inflation coming down. But that forecast, which everyone was hoping would lead to a rate cut at the end of the year or early in the new year, looking very rubbery, and even Jim Chalmers knows that. Is your 2.75% inflation prediction by the end of the year from your budget too optimistic then?
Oh, it remains to be seen, but we're confident about the future trajectory of inflation, but we're not complacent about it. I think we've made that really clear. And when you compare us to the rest of the world, it's really important that you remember that our inflation peaked later and lower than most of those other countries. Inflation has moderated in welcome and encouraging ways, but it doesn't always moderate in a straight line. It zigs and zags on the way down, and that's what we're seeing.
You've argued for months now the stage 3 tax cuts about to flow to all Australians from tomorrow are not inflationary. But it's $23 billion this financial year alone that you're pumping into the economy. How are you going to pour that money in and have no effect on inflation?
When we changed those tax cuts at the start of the year, the Treasury made it clear that they didn't expect it to put additional pressure on inflation beyond what was already factored into their forecasts. And that's because we used the same envelope as before, but we made them fairer, made sure everyone got a tax cut rather than just some people. And beyond that, we've designed the energy bill relief and the rent assistance, which comes in September, to take some of the edge off inflation rather than add to it. So I am confident that the budget settings are right.
And the opposition's got a new slogan to try to get under the Treasurer's skin and to make him the bad guy as this inflation debate rolls on. Angus Taylor, the Shadow Treasurer, used this on Friday. Mickey Cash, the Shadow Attorney General, yesterday. It's Jimflation.
The cost of living relief that they are about to provide, talk to the real Australians, it does nothing to touch the sides of the pain they are feeling because of Jimflation, not inflation, Jimflation.
Oh, Jimflation, you've got to love it. Andrew, you said you'd talk about Fatima Payman because there's now a standoff, basically, now that she's suspended indefinitely. What's the political reaction your side been like?
Well, it just was a situation the PM had to act, in my view. She'd thumbed her nose at him once by crossing the floor. He let her off the hook. And then she thumbed it at him again by going on a national television program on the ABC and saying, look, I'll cross the floor again. Now, as if the Greens weren't going to pass or attempt to pass another motion on this week. There was really only one course for Anthony Albanese, or, well, he could have expelled her, I guess, but he suspended her indefinitely. But this speaks to something else too, which is Fatima Payman, first-term MP, only 29. All she's seen is a caucus which never speaks out against the PM. And I've been saying for a while that's very unhealthy, and that's not the traditional way Australian caucuses and party rooms have worked. And I think that's come back to bite the PM. Fatima Payman probably didn't realise or didn't think you can get up every party room meeting and take on this issue, and it will be reported on. And you'll still be standing up on the issue. She never even attempted that. She just pulled the pin out of the grenade. So as a consequence, it looks like it's cost her career in the Labor Party. Who knows? Maybe she'll become an independent. Maybe she'll go to the Greens. If she's steadfast in this position, which she appears to be, I can't see any course of action for her other than to leave the Labor Party. And maybe she'll become a cause celeb for certain parts of the community and she's got a 6-year term, so she's got another 4 years in here anyway. But it was interesting. Jim Chalmers, he was condemning her actions, or saying he sympathised with caucus members in terms of all those who haven't crossed the floor and saw her do it. Then she had her spray on insiders, was called to meet the PM. He'd already been firm with her. I reported that yesterday. This time he had no option but to suspend her indefinitely, and I can't see a way back for Fatima Payman in the caucus. I just can't. Here was the Treasurer yesterday, today, and Fatima Payman. Do you appreciate some of your caucus colleagues aren't too happy?
I do understand that. I share Penny Wong's view, frankly, that we get much more done when we work collectively rather than individually. And I support the party's policy on an enduring two-state solution in that fraught part of the world.
What is brought forward in the Senate, obviously, you and I both don't have a crystal ball, so it's really difficult to say. But if the same motion on recognising the state of Palestine was to be brought forward tomorrow, I would cross the floor.
You would cross the floor again?
Yes.
Is she a thorn in the side of your government at the moment?
Oh, I don't see it that way, Pete. You know, I have great respect for all of my colleagues, and I know that this has been a difficult time in recent days.
Should she be expelled from the party?
Oh, I'm not going to get into that, Pete. You know, I think the steps that the Prime Minister took yesterday were the appropriate ones. You know, I support the actions taken yesterday.
And Fatima Payman says she's about trying to save more people being killed after 40,000, she says, have been in the Gaza conflict. But somehow I don't think one Labor senator crossing with 12 others, including the Greens and David Pocock, is going to make much of a difference. So you'd have to think this is a little self-indulgent on her part. Having said that, she's been spurred on by her former union, the AMWU. A leader there has backed her. And as I understand it, she has received many, many messages of support for the action she's taken. So as a young, impressionable senator, you can see why she would want to make her mark here. But it's out of the box now. It's pretty hard to put it back in. And that's why I think she has no future in Labor. And of course, that would mean one less number on the floor of the Senate when the government is already relying on the crossbench to pass legislation.
Thanks so much for the analysis, Andrew Clennell, our political editor.